No, no, how? Who? This cannot be me.
When the lantern glows, the story begins. In the heart of a bustling village lived a young woman named Afia Oforiwaa, and she was beautiful. Not the ordinary kind of beautiful that makes someone turn their hair twice. Oh, no, Afia's beauty was so staggering that it made old men forget their walking sticks. Married men suddenly, quote unquote, remember they had errands near her house, and women break their pistols in jealousy while pounding fufu. But Afia Oforiwaa knew it. Oh, she knew it too well, and that was the problem. Every morning before the rooster's second crow, her compound would already be flooded with men, farmers who had not even brushed their teeth, hunters still smelling of gunpowder, rich traders from the town in starched cloth, the chief's own nephew in freshly polished sandals, all of them lined up in front of her house like school children waiting for free porridge. And the gifts, it was chaos. Goats tied to her gate, baskets of garden eggs and oko piled high, bottles of palm wine lined like soldiers, hints of bright color spread on the ground as though they were royalty. Sometimes the line of men stretched all the way to the town village, but Oforiwaa, she would come out slowly, deliberately, letting them sweat under the morning sun. She would stand on her porch, stretch lazily like a cat, and then smile at herself in a bronze mirror.
Ah, Oforiwaa, look at you.
She would murmur loudly enough for the men to hear.
Which goddess can compete with this face? None. Absolutely no one.
Then, without even glancing at the crowd, she would snap her fingers.
Kwame, sweep away that one-eyed man. He is blocking my view. And you, yes, you with the crooked teeth. Why are you still here? Did I not tell you yesterday that your face offends me?
The men never complained. They laughed nervously, eager to please. Some even fought each other for a chance to stand closer to her. One once fainted from waiting too long. But when he woke up, the first thing he asked was,
"Did she look at me?"
They embarrassed themselves beyond repair. The blacksmith, strong and sweaty, once offered to make her a necklace out of pure iron. She sniffed and said,
"Iron? What am I? A cooking pot?"
The poor man nearly melted in shame. The school teacher wrote her poems, long verses comparing her to the moon and the stars. When she saw it, Oforiwaa laughed until tears rolled down her face.
The moon? Please, even the moon hides half of his face. Look at mine, flawless from every angle.
The women of the village, their tired were tired. They hated the way Afia swung her hips as if she owned the road. They hated how she stared at them like they were invisible shadows. They hated how their husbands suddenly developed quote-unquote errands whenever Afia was passing by. They would gather at the well, grumbling and rolling their eyes.
So because her nose is small and her skin is smooth, she thinks she's better than us?
One would say, another would hiss.
Let time catch her. Beauty does not fry plantain.
But the truth was painful. Every man wanted Oforiwaa, and every woman secretly wished they looked like her. And Oforiwaa, she made sure to rub it in their faces every single day. Her beauty had moved past being quote-unquote admiration and had become a burden on the whole village. By mid-morning, when most women were bent over in their farms or markets, Afia would still be indoors, oiling her legs and braiding her hair. She didn't lift a broom, didn't touch a firewood, didn't even know how to tie a bundle of cassava leaves. And why should she? By the time she finally stepped outside, a battalion of men were already waiting to carry out her chores for her. One would rush to fetch her firewood. Another would balance her pot on his head. Two young men once nearly broke their backs, fighting over who would pound her fufu, though Afia had no intention of even eating it. And Oforiwaa, she would sit on a stool in the middle of her yard, filing her nails, barking orders like a commander.
Your sweat is dripping. Don't let it splash on me. My skin is delicate. You there, My intoma is dragging in the sand. Bend down and lift it.
Soon, it wasn't only the single men that chased her. Married men too began to lose their senses. One even left his wife's stew boiling on the fire just to stand in a fierce yard. When the wife came storming with a ladle, Oforiwaa burst out laughing.
Sister, hold your temper. Is it my fault that your husband can't stand your ugly face anymore?
The chief himself was embarrassed. His own son had started washing the fierce clothes. When confronted, the boy swore.
Father, if I do not wash them, how will her scent remain on my hands?
The chief nearly collapsed. The women could no longer take it. They formed what the children mockingly called the Anti-Afia Association. At every riverside gathering, they plotted. Some suggested they curse her. Others wanted to pour red oil at her gate at night. One bold woman even confronted her publicly, shouting,
You think you are special? Beauty does not last forever.
Oforiwaa tilted her head, smiled sweetly, and answered,
When mine fades, yours will already be in the grave.
The crowd gasped. The poor woman went home shaken. Her arrogance grew so tall it reached the sky. If men no longer brought goods, she demanded cows. If someone dared walk past her without bowing their head, she would stop them.
So you've grown taller than me now? Bend down before my shadow burns you.
The scariest part was when Oforiwaa began to compare herself to the divine. One hot afternoon, while sitting by the river and gazing at her reflection, she whispered loud enough for the girls nearby to hear.
Even the river goddess herself cannot boast of such beauty. Look how the water shines only because it is holding my face.
The girls ran to the village with their mouths wide. The elders shook their heads.
This girl will call trouble from the spirits,
They muttered. And they were right, for while Afia mocked and preened, the river stirred quietly. Something ancient had taken notice. Behind every troublesome child, there is a story, and Afia Oforiwaa's story was sitting right inside her father's compound. Her mother, Mami Abana, was her loudest cheerleader. She adored her daughter's beauty as if it were her own achievement. Every morning, Mami Abana would call the neighbors just to boast.
Hey, come and look at this skin. Does it not shine like the morning sun? The men of this village must beg before they touch even her shadow.
When the gifts crowded the compound, it was Mami Abna who clapped and sang.
Yes, bring more. Is this all? Do you not see this is a queen in the making?
She polished the fierce pride until it gleamed. If someone dared complain, she was the first to defend her daughter.
Jealousy will kill you people, oh. If your children are not fine, is that a fierce fault?
But Afia's father, Openyin Kweku, was the complete opposite, a man of wisdom, respected in the village. He watched his daughter's arrogance with a heavy heart. He was the type who believed beauty should walk hand in hand with humility, and every time he saw Afia's nose lifted too high, his chest burned. One afternoon, after Afia had sent 3 young men fighting over who would carry her basket from the market, Openyin Kweku finally snapped. He called her aside.
My daughter, do you think beauty lasts forever? It is like morning dew, bright for a moment, but gone by noon. Humble yourself, for pride has destroyed greater people than you.
Afia folded her arms, rolling her eyes.
Papa, if you had beauty like mine, you would not waste it on humility. Look around. Every man wants me, even the chief's son. Do you call that due? This beauty is forever.
Her mother quickly stepped in, fanning her daughter with a cloth.
Kweku, leave her alone. Are you blind? This is not ordinary beauty. The gods themselves carved her. If you will not marry any ordinary man, she is destined for greatness.
Greatness? What kind of greatness comes from mocking people? What kind of future begins with pride? You are leading her to ruin. You are planting thorns and calling them flowers.
The old man spat, shaking his head, but his words fell like stones in water. They sank and disappeared. That evening, as the compound filled with more gifts, cloth, jars of palm wine, live chickens clucking in confusion, Openyin Kweku sat in the corner, quiet, he watched his daughter strut in front of her admirers, watched his wife beam with pride, and he muttered under his breath,
The gods are patient, but they are also listening.
And in the depths of the river, the water stayed again. It was on a hot afternoon when the sun was sliding into gold that Afia first saw him. She had gone to the riverside as usual to admire herself. Her mother had just braided her hair and polished her skin with shea butter. Afia bent over the water, giggling at her reflection.
See how even the river looks more beautiful when I stand in it. If the gods are wise, they will carve me a husband worthy of this face.
And as if the water itself had been listening, the reeds parted. A man stepped out. He was tall, broad-shouldered, proper ebony skin. His cloth was not like anything the villagers had seen, woven with gold threads that caught the last light of the sun. His voice, when he spoke, was deep and soft, like water pouring over stones.
You must be Afia. I have heard of your beauty, but the stories did not do you justice.
He said, smiling. Oforiwaa froze for a moment, then quickly tilted her head proudly.
Of course they didn't. Words cannot capture what the eyes see.
The man chuckled.
Indeed, I am Edusai, a traveler from far beyond these lands. I have searched for a woman who could match the image in my dreams, and today I have found her.
Edusai followed Afia Oforiwaa to the village. Women dropped their calabashes in shock. Men gaped in silence. The stranger was not just handsome, he was otherworldly. He carried himself with the confidence of a chief, spoke with the charm of a seasoned hunter, and dressed like wealth itself. Everywhere they walked, people whispered,
Look at his sandals. I have never seen such in this village. Hey, who is this man? Hey, Ratty, if truly this is a fierce suitor, then she's really destined, though.
Afia's mother danced around the compound that evening, shouting,
Did I not tell you? Did I not say my daughter was not for ordinary men? Look and learn.
Her father, however, sat in silence. He watched Edusai's eyes, too sharp, too calm. Something about the stranger unsettled him, though he could not yet name it. And Afia, she soared higher than the clouds. With Edusai at her side, she now mocked the men who once worshipped her. When the school teacher greeted her, she laughed.
Go and write poems for goats. I have a man whose words can melt stone.
When the chief's nephew brought her palm wine, she poured it out on the ground.
Do you want me to drink this village water when my Edusai brings me wine sweeter than honey?
When women sneered at her in the market, she simply raised her voice.
Hey, jealousy, is that you? Ajay, the gods themselves have sent me a husband. Who among you can say the same?
She was unbearable. She was untouchable. She was convinced that fate itself bowed at her feet. From the moment Edusai stepped into Afia's life, everything changed. The man moved like wealth itself. His sandals never caught dust. His cloth never wrinkled. And his smile, it could melt even the hardest heart. He had a way of speaking that made people lean in, a way of walking that parted crowds without him raising a hand. Within days, Edusai had turned Afia's compound into a palace. Strings of beads brighter and heavier than any in the market now hung around her neck. Silks and clothes she had never seen before, soft as water, shimmering like the rainbow, filled her room. Food that no villager could afford, delicacies from far lands, appeared at her table daily. Even the goats in her yard looked fatter, for Edusai brought feed no one could recognize. And Afia, she became unbearable. If before she was proud, now she was insufferable. When the women passed by, she would stretch out her hands, dripping with gold, rings, and sigh loudly.
Some of you are still cooking with firewood. Look at me. My Edusai has given me a stove that lights with a whisper.
When the men dared look at her, she would laugh.
Kwesi, you chased me for months with your empty calabash. And see, the gods rewarded my patience with Edise. Next time, pray to be born wealthy and handsome.
Soon, Eduse announced he wanted to marry her. The village shook like thunder. The men groaned in defeat. The women burned with jealousy. The elders tried to keep calm, but even they mattered.
Hey, this girl's destiny is not ordinary.
The wedding preparations were unlike anything the village had seen. Eduse brought so many gifts the chief himself was humbled. Gold ornaments, kente cloths woven with strange patterns, chests of cowries that overflowed. On the day itself, Afia walked through the village like a goddess. Her clothes shimmered, her hair glistened, her jewelry clanged like tiny bells. Women whispered,
"Even queens do not shine like this."
Men shook their heads, ashamed of ever thinking they had a chance. Mami Abna, her mother, danced until her entuma nearly fell off. She shouted at everyone.
Did I not tell you? Did I not say my daughter was not for ordinary men? Look, and learn.
But her father, Opening Kweku, sat apart. Frowning, he leaned on his staff and muttered under his breath.
Everything too perfect hides a shadow. Beauty may open doors, but it can also dig graves.
And Afia, she was untouchable. She lifted her chin higher than ever, laughed at everyone who dared look too long. She stood beside Eduse and declared,
At last, the world has caught up with my beauty. Who among you can compete? I told you I was destined for greatness. And see, I was right.
The village cheered, the drums beat, the dancing went deep into the night. But as the moon rose and the river whispered quietly in the dark, no one saw the way Eduse's eyes gleamed strangely in the silver light. The night after the wedding, Eduse announced he would take Afia to his home. The villagers gathered, curious and nosy, as the new couple prepared to leave. Eduse loaded cart after cart with gifts for Afia's parents, gold ornaments, rich clothes, bags of rice, and jars of oil that never seemed to run empty. The people gasped. Mami Abna nearly fainted with joy. She danced around the compound, pointing at the gifts.
Jealous ones, are your eyes paining you? See what my daughter has brought me. May your daughters also marry rich if the gods allow.
But Openyin Kweku only watched in silence, his hand clutching his staff so tightly his knuckles turned white. Eduse took Afia by the hand and they set off. Some of the villagers, including Afia's mom and dad, escorted them, following just behind them. Strangely, instead of the main road, he led her toward the river. Afia frowned.
Hey, Edise, where is your house? Why are we taking this route?
He smiled, calm as always.
My love, you will see. My palace is not like anything you've known.
And when they reached the riverbank, something extraordinary happened. The waters parted quietly, like a curtain. A glowing path appeared, shimmering under the moonlight. Gasps rose from the crowd. Afia clapped her hands in delight.
Look at this. Even the river bows for me. Did I not say I was a queen?
She tossed her head proudly and stepped onto the path without hesitation. Behind her, her father shouted desperately,
Afia, come back. No palace begins in the river. No good husband hides his home in water.
But Afia only laughed, her bracelets jingling.
Papa, allow me to enjoy what your old eyes cannot understand. Not everyone is meant to live like villagers.
And with that, she walked away with it to say, the waters closing silently behind them. When Afia opened her eyes again, she was inside the palace, more dazzling than any dream. The walls shimmered like glass, the floors sparkled like diamonds, and the air was perfumed with a sweetness she could not name. Servants glided about silently, bowing deeply whenever she passed. Eduse turned to her with that same calm smile.
This is your new home, my queen. Whatever you desire will be yours.
Afia's laughter rang through the halls.
Did I not tell them? Did I not warn those jealous women? Look at me now, a palace fit for a goddess. Even the chief's wife cannot compete.
She threw herself into luxury. She ate food she had never seen, wore jewels that sparkled even in the dark, and bathed in pools that glowed like starlight. Every day, Eduse told her she was beautiful. And every day, she believed it more. But slowly, little cracks began to show. At night, the servants' footsteps made no sound at all. When she tried to talk to them, they only bowed, never speaking. Sometimes, when she looked too closely, she thought their eyes shimmered like fish scales. The mirrors in the palace were odd too. During the day, they reflected her in beauty perfectly, but sometimes she would catch a glimpse of herself looking older. Wrinkles flickering at the edges of her mouth, shadows gathering under her eyes. When she blinked, it would vanish and her flawless face would return. Afia laughed it off.
Maybe the moonlight is jealous too,
she told herself, but in her heart, unease began to stir. And still, Edusei smiled, always smiling, always watching. At first, Afia Oforiwaa thought she had won in life. Every morning, she woke on a bed softer than clouds, with silk draped across her skin. Trays of strange fruits, glowing purple, glittering red, appeared by her side before she even asked. Edusei called her,
My queen, my goddess, my son.
And Afia bags the net like cut in the sun. But slowly, the shine of her new world began to dull. One day, in her arrogance, Afia snapped her fingers at a servant.
Hey, you! Pour water into my bath and scrub my feet.
The woman bowed and obeyed, but Afia noticed something strange. The woman's hands were webbed, her skin too smooth, her eyes too dark. When Afia blinked, it was gone, just a normal servant again. She frowned.
Did I imagine that?
She muttered, then she laughed.
Perhaps I am simply too beautiful. Even the water plays tricks on me.
Yet, the unease stuck like a thorn in her chest. At the banquets Edusei hosted for her, Afia would eat until her fingers were sticky with oil and honey. But sometimes, when she glanced at Edusei's plate, she noticed he never ate. He only watched her, smiling, his eyes glittering strangely in the torchlight.
Hey, Edusei, are you fasting, or are you too enchanted by my face to eat?
He only smiled wider.
My hunger is not for food, my love. Watching you is enough.
Afia laughed, but a shiver ran down her back. At night, when Edusei left her chambers, Afia would sometimes hear her father's voice echoing in her mind.
Afia, come back. No palace begins in the river. No good husband hides his home in water.
She would shake it off angrily, pressing her hands against her ears.
I am living the life of a goddess. My father is just a jealous old man.
And yet, no matter how hard she tried, she could not silence the unease, because though the palace glittered, though Edusei smiled, though she draped herself in silk and jewels, Afia began to notice one terrible truth. She had not seen the sun in many, many days. The days rolled into weeks, but Afia no longer knew how much time had passed. In the palace, there was no sunrise, no rooster crow, no busy chatter of market women, only lamps that glowed by themselves, halls that never grew dusty, and silence that pressed against her ears like heavy cloth. She told herself,
I am still the envy of every woman.
But something was changing, something she could no longer laugh away. One evening, Afia sat before her mirror as usual, humming to herself. She leaned closer, admiring her flawless skin. But this time, the wrinkles did not vanish when she blinked. Her cheeks drooped. Fine lines crept across her forehead. Her eyes looked tired, old, almost sunken. Afia gasped, clutching the table.
No! How? Who? This cannot be me.
She screamed for Edusei. When he entered, she pointed at the mirror, trembling.
Look at my face, Edusei. I am losing my beauty.
But Edusei only smiled his calm, endless smile.
You are beautiful, my queen. More beautiful than ever.
Afia shook her head violently.
Liar! Look at me. Look at these wrinkles.
Do not fear, my love. Beauty changes shape, but yours will never fade in my eyes.
She wanted to believe him. She forced a laugh, but the sound cracked like broken glass. After that night, Afia began testing the palace. She tried walking to the gates, only to find endless corridors that bent back on themselves. She tried slipping out into the gardens, only to see the same fountain no matter which path she took. Once in desperation, she grabbed the servant by the arm.
Take me outside. Show me the road to the village.
The servant's skin felt slick under her grip, and when she looked down, she swore she saw scales flash under the light. The servant only bowed and whispered,
"This is your home, my queen. Outside no longer exists."
Afia slapped her hands over her ears and ran. Nights were the west. The palace, so bright by day, grew unnaturally still. No crickets, no owls, no wind, only silence thick enough to choke her. Sometimes she heard faint whispers from the walls. Other times, the sound of rushing water filled her ears until she thought she might drown. And always, Medusa would appear behind her, smiling.
Do not fear, my love. You are safe here.
Oforiwaa, once the proudest girl in the village, began to talk to herself.
I am beautiful. I am still beautiful. I must be.
She pressed powders on her face, tied cloths tighter around her body, changed her cheeks for color, but the mirror betrayed her. Each night, the old woman stared back, wrinkled, bent, and fading. One night, clutching the mirror, Afia finally broke down.
Please, I just say, take me outside, just for one day. Let me feel the sun on my face.
And Medusa, still smiling, still calm, leaned close and whispered,
The sun does not shine where you belong.
The night it happened, Afia could no longer bear it. She had torn every cloth in the chamber trying to cover her sagging face. She had thrown her jewels against the wall, screaming as they clattered uselessly to the ground. The proud, arrogant girl who once made the whole village tremble now sat at the cold floor, her knees pulled to her chest, whispering through cracked lips,
I just want to be beautiful again. Just beautiful again.
And then she felt it, a cold hand stroking her hair. Afia looked up. Medusa stood over her, smiling as always, but this time the smile was different, too wide, too sharp, shimmered like deep dark water, as though waves moved beneath it. Afia stumbled back.
What are you?
His voice rolled like thunder over the sea.
You asked for the perfect man, and I became him. You wanted wealth, and I poured it at your feet. You wanted worship, and I gave you a palace of servants. But what you wanted most was your beauty. And now, I will keep it.
His form began to change. His legs melted into coals of water. His arms straight like flowing rivers. His face elongated, shifting, both human and not. The walls of the palace dissolved, revealing not stone and gold, but the endless swirling depths of the river. Afia screamed, clutching at the air, but her hands slipped through the water.
No, you tricked me. I do say, please, please, I'll change.
The water god's voice thundered around her, echoing like drums beneath the earth.
Change? You mocked the gods. You mocked men. You worshipped yourself above all. And so I will give you what you cannot bear, the face of time itself.
The river rose, crashing over her. Afia's body twisted, her skin shriveling, her hair whitening. She tried to scream again, but the water swallowed her voice, and there was silence. 1 year later, back in the village, life went on. The men no longer lined at Afia's gate. The women no longer grumbled in jealousy. It was as if the earth itself had swallowed her whole. But exactly 1 year later, on a misty morning, a figure stumbled into the village square. A bent, wrinkled old woman, her face creased and weary, her eyes dull with years that had not passed. She wore tattered cloth, her once glorious hair now grey and thin.
Please, please, it's me.
She croaked.
It's Afia. You're Afia Oforiwaa.
The villagers stared in disgust. Some laughed.
This ugly old beggar claims she is Oforiwaa, our Oforiwaa who shone like the sun.
Others spat on the ground.
Go away, witch.
Even her mother, Mami Abna, slapped her hand away.
How dare you? My daughter was a queen. You are nothing but an old crow.
Her father, Openyu Kwekun, stepped forward slowly. His eyes searched her ruined face. He said nothing, but a single tear slid down his cheek. Afia fell to her knees in the dust, weeping, all her pride, all her laughter, all her beauty, gone. And no one, not even her own blood, believed her story. The water god had kept his promise. Afia Oforiwaa lived on, but not as the goddess she once claimed to be. The villagers refused to accept her. Whenever she wandered near the market, children ran after her shouting. Women hissed and turned their backs. Men who once fought to carry her basket now crossed the road to avoid her. Even her mother would not claim her. Mami Abna continued to boast about her quote-unquote beautiful daughter who had married a wealthy man and gone away.
Afia is in a palace somewhere. She has forgotten us. But who can blame her? She's a queen.
She would say, smiling proudly, but the truth was harsher. The quote-unquote queen was sitting under the mango tree at the edge of the village, with no jewelry, no silk, no admirers, only wrinkles and silence. Opanyin Kweku was the only one who saw through her faded face. He would sometimes sit beside her, offering food or water. He never called her Afia in public, but when no one was around, he would whisper,
"My daughter, I warned you."
She would clutch his hand, tears cutting through the deep lines of her cheeks.
Papa, forgive me. I thought beauty made me untouchable.
He would sigh, shaking his head.
Beauty without humility is like a calabash without water. Empty, useless.
And Afia would weep, knowing the words were true. As years passed, the story of Afia Oforiwaa spread. Parents began using her name as warning.
Do not let pride swell in you. Remember Afia, who mocked even the gods.
Fathers warned their sons.
Do not waste your sweat on women who see themselves above you. Remember the men who lined up at Afia's gate and how she repaid them.
Children whispered at night, daring each other.
If you stare into the river long enough, you will see Afia's face, half beautiful, half wrinkled.
Afia herself became a ghost while still alive, a lesson carved into flesh. She grew weaker with each passing year, no longer proud, no longer arrogant. One dawn, the villagers found her body curled beneath a mango tree, her wrinkled hands clutched around a broken shard of mirror. Her eyes were open, staring toward the river, as if waiting for a docile smile to appear one last time. The villagers buried her without ceremony, but her story lived on, sharper than any drumbeat, louder than any proverb. Afia Oforiwaa, the girl who thought her beauty was greater than the gods, and who learned too late that time and pride bowed to no one.